All right, we are live on American Hammers TV. It is my pleasure to once again interview Roshane Thomas from The Athletic alongside my partner in crime today, Allie. Allie and Roshane, how are you guys doing today?
I'll let Ali go first.
Well, I'm doing all right, You know, it's ticking along as we can be.
Right. Roshane, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm all good, thanks. I've just been doing a lot of reading, like reading books, been cycling a lot, trying to improve the fitness. So yeah, it's been doing that really. What about yourself, Justin? How you been?
Yeah, I think I'm in a similar boat to you guys. Just trucking along, taking it a day at a time, missing my sports very much. I've said to a lot of people, I never realized how much I love sport until now. It's sort of like you don't know what you got till it's gone type of thing,
Yeah.
And yeah, obviously we're all missing soccer, missing West Ham, and that has to do with the first topic that I wanted to talk to you about, Roshane. Wanted to talk to you about what you're hearing, what you're seeing in the news, and what your opinions are on the return of the Premier League. Will the season occur? If so, when will it occur? What are the logistics behind it? Have you heard anything? Do you have any opinions on the matter?
Well, first and foremost, my opinion on the matter is, the season should be finished. When that happens, that's up in the air right now. I mean, it seems like June could be perhaps the earliest we return, but again, it's just all up in the air. We're not sure for definite. I mean, I was on a podcast recently and I was saying, like, in terms of where West Ham are in the league, it would be great if the season was null and void, because that means it was
Right.
that's nothing, because that means we will stay up. But yeah, it's just like, for me as a football fan, I want the season to continue. I mean, there's only 9 games left if I'm correct, so it should happen. And I mean, I'm just gonna say, from the Athletic point of view in terms of our coverage, David Ornstein and Matt Slater have been great in terms of like their coverage. I mean, Matt Slater wrote a piece recently about the whole financial aspect, and he covered the piece. Well, there was a line there surrounding West Ham, which I'd recommend all Athletic subscribers to read. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I want it to finish, but whether that happens remains to be seen.
Allie, what are your thoughts on the matter? Do you share in Roshane's view that you want it to be finished, and are you optimistic that it will be, or do you think eventually it'll be null and void?
From a personal opinion, as someone who lives in the north of England, I don't want it to finish because I can't deal with Liverpool being crowned champions. But that's a.
I don't think you're alone in that.
That's the thing. To be honest, if we can get kick-started in June, then yeah, absolutely. As you said, there's not many games left. Let's finish it. If it's going to drag on past June, July, then I think we're going to have to do what the lower leagues have done, which is null and void everything and start over again.
Sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say very quickly. There's also going to be perhaps a possibility of games being played behind closed doors due to this pandemic, because it would be unlikely for like the best part of 60 plus fans in London Stadium being there. So I mean, if that were to happen, you have to also consider that we're in a relegation fight, and we sort of need our fan support. So the whole sort of aspect of playing behind closed doors, I'm not sure. Well, it seems the most logical solution right now, but it wouldn't perhaps be the best solution for a team like West Ham, who we need our fans because we're trying to, secure our Premier League status for another season.
Yeah, that's a great point, and I didn't even think about that. How important fans are. I personally don't think that if there are games that are going to be played, I think there is no way that fans will be there. I think if the season were to finish, and that is a big if, fans aren't going to be there to witness it. Anfield will be empty as Liverpool lift the trophy. It'll be very, very, very odd and very, very weird. Allie, you mentioned something earlier. You said if we get past June and this drags out past then, you don't know if it's probably logistically feasible to finish it. do you think that there is a point of no return, so to speak? Meaning, is there a date on the calendar by which, if the season isn't resumed by then, logistically not feasible, you need to null and void it? Do you have a point of no return? And Allie and Roshane, I'm interested in both of your opinions on that.
I think so. I think it's going to have to be by the end of July, the beginning of August, because it's the knock-on effect for seasons to come is going to be huge, because we're supposed to be starting in August for the next season. If we've let this season drag on, then they're going to have to cut it short. You've mentioned before contracts with players. They're coming up at the end of the summer. That's going to be a huge thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think if we don't finish it by the end of July, then you've got to either call the season as it is or null and void it and start again.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, Ali. Just as you mentioned, contracts. I think I'm right in saying Pablo Zabaleta and Carlos Sanchez without a contract this summer. So, yeah. So, I mean, and also when you consider things like planning for like summer recruitment, if it goes beyond July, how will that work? So yeah, if it's not finished by the end of July, then yeah, it doesn't make any sense really. And I'm not sure about you guys. I'm trying to go away on a summer holiday, so I'd rather past July.
Yeah, I feel you there. I used to have an idea where if players return to training, because let's be honest, they're going to have to train for a few weeks to get back into shape. They can't just go right back into the games. If players started training by August, I thought that you could start the season by the end of August, finish it by the end of October, and then start a new season around the holidays. Now, what that would do is that would allow the season afterward, not the season afterwards, but the season after that, to finish a couple months before November, which was when the 2022 World Cup is supposed to be played in Qatar. And you could actually use the fact that the World Cup is going to be played in November to your advantage. Now, that would mess up logistics a little bit post 2022. I have laid out a plan where it could be fixed, but the player contracts, I mean, Roshane, have you heard anything? Like, there are no loopholes in these contracts, right? I mean, there's no pandemic clauses. Yeah. Once June 30th hits, it's done, right?
Yeah, it's done as well. And you have to think, like, let's say it was to resume in June, right? And players were playing when the contract expires. I mean, what if they suffer an injury? How does that work in terms of insurance? I mean, if they suffer like an ACL injury or like a broken ankle, that's going to affect their next career move. That's going to affect their financial earnings. So stuff like that is what I'm sure the Premier League are like considering once they do return. But that doesn't only apply to West Ham; it applies to all the other 20 teams all the other 19 teams rather in the Premier League. So yeah, there's a lot of talk. There's a lot of sticky points surrounding this. So yes, again, that's why I reckon if it's not, as Ali mentioned, if it's not finished by the end of July, then just scrap it. Don't bother.
Okay, so let's say we get to a situation where, for whatever reason, the season becomes null and void. They can't finish it. They just can't figure out the logistics behind it, and it becomes null and void. Roshane, what do you do with the title? What do you do with the Champions League places? What do you do with relegation of the championship and promotion from the championship? What do you do with everything?
Yeah, well, first of all, there's no title for Liverpool if it's not null and void. So Ali gets her wish. Yeah, see that again. Like, what happens? I mean, teams like Arsenal, Chelsea, and what have you, vying for a top four finish. I don't know the bottom three right now, but I'm sure Norwich and Bournemouth and so on and so forth, how it's going to work in terms of that. I'm sure there'll be some sort of like, if that were to happen and we suffer relegation, I mean, how it's going to work in terms of financially. There must be some sort of like legal action they'll try and do as well. So, I mean, yeah, it's just crazy when you think about it as well. So it's great that West Ham are 16th because we want to have that dilemma.
Yeah, right.
Void. But yeah, so yeah, it's crazy when you think about it because no one foresaw this happening. So yeah, it's crazy.
Allie, what do you think?
I say you do a knockout tournament between the top 6 teams, and then whoever wins that, they've won the league. You've organised your Champions League places and your Europa places. We'll have time to do that because that won't take more than a couple of weeks.
Interesting. I have heard that idea. That idea, I forgot who it was posed by, but that idea centered around finalizing the top 5, really, because you have to assume that City won't count due to the ban. But there are some interesting dilemmas if you do consider the season null and void. Obviously, you have the Liverpool title. Do you give it to them or not, given that they're so far ahead? If it was Manchester City at the top of the league, I don't think it would really be as much of a debate or a point of conversation. Given that it's Liverpool, I think it makes it that much more of a bigger story. But what do you do with the Champions League? Again, your top 5. Well, right now it's Liverpool, Scratch City, Leicester, Chelsea, and then United. But then Sheffield United are only 2 points behind United with a game in hand. Well, do you just give it to United? That's not fair to Sheffield United. Do you do a playoff like Allie mentioned? Do you do last year's top 5? Because if that's the case, then Arsenal's in the Champions League and they sure as hell don't deserve to be in it. So there's a lot of, and then the relegation. Roshane, you mentioned relegation. I personally don't think you can relegate anyone, especially Villa, who I believe are second bottom currently, but they have a game in hand. And if they were to win that game in hand, they would be out. So there would be tons of legal action. I would think if you declared it null and void, the easiest thing to do would simply be no title to Liverpool, maybe a playoff, if anything, but no relegation. I just don't think you can relegate. But do you think the Premier League would ever accept 2 teams from the Championship, so you'd have 22 the next year?
I mean, even that'll be pure what's the word? Not guesswork, but you're just assuming that team will win. I mean, another team further down could go on and run, and let's say they could probably clinch that automatic promotion. We're just assuming that the 2 teams are going to stay there until the end of the season. So, I mean, for me personally, I feel like if the season were to become null and void, that's the worst case scenario for the Premier League. They are trying to not have this happen at all. I mean, there's already been articles about like broadcast deals and whether like Sky Sports and BT will pay for that and whatnot. I was having a quick look through the comments. Everyone's saying like don't null and avoid it. So I think they're also in agreement as well. I've seen here from Kieran, actually Kieran's saying null and avoid for him, in fact. So that's interesting to see. So yeah, I feel like that would be the worst case scenario if it were to happen.
Now, moving on to West Ham specifically, I think there's a couple things that we want to talk about. First, I think I want to talk about a couple weeks ago, or maybe it was a month ago. At this point, the days just blend together. There were 8 West Ham players that were not diagnosed with coronavirus, but were exhibiting coronavirus symptoms. Yeah. I was thinking of talking points a couple days ago to bring up to you, and I remembered those 8 players, not really remembering any follow-up stories beyond that. Did you hear anything? Did any of those players actually get tested positive, or were they simply just sick with something else? Have you heard anything about that?
I mean, I did like make a few like phone calls and inquiries to find out who they were, but to my knowledge, the 8 players, they weren't named, and I think it was just like slight symptoms of the coronavirus. I mean, the only person who I know that was in self-isolation was like David Moyes due to the remember when Arsenal played Olympiacos, I think it was in the Europa League, and their chairman said days later, "Oh, hey guys, I got coronavirus." I'm not sure if you guys know.
Yeah.
So then David Moyes was in self-isolation because also it was confirmed that I'm thinking of West Ham.
Arteta, yeah.
Arteta rather was also showing slight symptoms of coronavirus and in self-isolation. So yeah, the 8 players to my knowledge weren't named, but I mean it's great to see that they have made a full recovery.
Allie, I know you wanted to touch base on a specific topic of one of our former strikers now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because what set West Ham Twitter alight was old Marco jumping in on the Instagram live video saying that, "Tell him I'll come back, bro, and I'll be right there." And I wanted to know, do you think A, West Ham would go back for him, and B, would he be accepted by the fans and the players?
Who goes first, me or Justin?
You.
Well, I actually I spoke to a source, and a source said that, you know, Marko Arnautovic, this is like prior to this whole like thing he posted, like actually wanted to return to West Ham. He wanted to return to West Ham in January, but I mean, Moyes at the time was like, you know, I want to bring in young players. I want to bring in like players who are hungry, who are like have resale value. Because also, when you, I know I'm slightly going off topic here, but when you remember the accounts, when the accounts was released, there was literally no resale value on players, hardly making any profit on players. So Moyes was like, I want to come in here, change things around. That's why we've seen the sign of someone like Jared Bowen, and obviously he's had a terrific start in the few games he's played. So I mean, who wouldn't want Marko Arnautovic back due to like his great goal scoring form? I mean, I recently started the career mode on FIFA, and I put him in straight away. I did a club transfer, I put him straight in because I need those goals in my team. So I did that. But I mean, you also have to think about, yeah, he's great on the pitch, but there's too many like off-field demeanors when it comes to Marco. I remember I saw an article about him interrupting training sessions with the women's team, and, you know, stuff like that. And then he also like handing a transfer request. So he's great in the field, scores goals. I reckon he'll thrive on the Moyes again. But for me personally, there's too many off the field issues when it comes to Marco.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Roshane. He's certainly a player that we've missed. You know, him and Hilaire up top would be, I think, a force to be reckoned with, playing together. But there were just one too many instances where you just say to yourself, it's not worth it, in my opinion. You know, it's not like I'm not trying to discount what he did 2 seasons ago. His first season with us, I think we would have gone down without him. So, you know, I'm grateful to him for that. But there's just one too many instances where I don't think it's worth it. I mean, he's not banging in 20 goals a year. Yeah, he's banging in 10, 11, you know, assisting on a few. He's a good player on his day. But, you know, again, not a 20 goal guy, not a 50 million pound man, that we would desperately need, that we would challenge for Europe automatically with him on the squad. I just don't see. I don't know. I just agree with you. I don't see it, you know, being worth it to bring him back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't hear Ali's thoughts.
Oh yeah.
The thing is, though, I think personally, his personality, I wouldn't bring him back. Like you said, he kept bringing too much trouble behind the scenes. And for anybody who knows me, the women's team is my passion. And anybody who messes with my girls automatically gets an out for me. But at the same time, West Ham love a bad boy. You know, you look at Julian Dix, you look at Paolo Di Canio, you look at all of them. We do like our rebel rousers. So probably for his on-the-pitch performance, I'd have him back.
Roshane, a question for you based on your source. So your source said that he wants to come back.
Yeah.
But isn't the whole reason he left? It was basically financial. So I guess why do you know why he wants to come back? Is he just not having the time that he thought he would have in China? Is the money just not worth it? You know, given that the Premier League is a lot better league to play in. What's the reasons? You know,
well, maybe you have to think about also like a lifestyle thing. Living in China is totally different to like living in somewhere like London. And obviously, right. I know it didn't end well, like his time at West Ham. But I mean, he was loved by fans at one point, and you don't sort of get that sort of connection with like fans in the league over in China. I mean, how many like players do you hear talk about? Oh, you know, we love it out here. It's all for financial gain. And he doesn't sort of have that sort of connection with fans out there as he had with West Ham fans. But yeah, again, to touch on the earlier point, it's all down to Moyes wanting to bring in young players. Because aside from Arnautovic, we've seen like so many players come for one last payday at West Ham. How many times has the club signed someone like 27 plus who really doesn't care about the club? They're not committed. They're really not players. They're not committed. They're just here for one last payday. I mean, so many players I can think of. So yeah, I mean, as I mentioned, it would have been good for him to come back because, as you mentioned, 4-4-2 probably with him and then out up top, he probably would compete for a Europa League spot if that was the case. So yeah, yeah,
I just, you know, like I said, I don't see it being worth it. I just think, like you said, the off-field distraction that he would provide.
Yeah.
Yeah. So touch a bit more on one thing that you mentioned, which is David Moyes wanting to buy young talent. I read today that he's also looking at some of the lower league talent in the championship, young, hungry players that sort of fit the style that he tried to develop at Everton a bit. Am I correct in assuming that David Moyes thinks that, based on this recruiting strategy, he thinks that he will be at West Ham for the long haul, and he's trying to build something from the ground up? Is that his strategy?
Yeah, I think I'm right to say, in his first press conference when he was confirmed as manager, late December or January, I think it was. He was like, if I'm given time by the club, if the ball backs me, I can turn it around. I can bring in young, exciting players. I know it was a long time ago, but we saw that Everton, the likes of Phil Jagielka, Leighton Baines, John Stones, all players who went on to become England internationals. And I'm of the belief that if he is given time, he can do it and turn it around at West Ham, because who doesn't have to see a young, exciting player who wants to thrive and he wants to do well and he wants to play for the fans? When Bowen scored that goal, I forgot who was against the team, but everyone's like, "This is fantastic," because if you remember, a few weeks prior, Moyes had taken ages to put him in the team. I was thinking, we signed this guy, 22 million. Why are you not playing him for?
Yeah.
And obviously, in his first full Premier League debut, he scored. So, if Moyes can, get these sort of players, there's been a few rumors of players like Ollie Watkins as well from Brentford. Players who've been linked to in the lower leagues. For me personally, I like to see us get a young, exciting left back from the Championship, that we can develop in the future as well. So yeah. But I'm gonna make another point, a bit off topic as well. But whoever is signing players at Brentford, that's who West Ham needs to bring in.
I know, right?
That person is just absolutely spot on with recruitment. The resale value they get on players is just incredible. So if West Ham can make that appointment, oh my goodness, I'll do cartwheels.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to look up to see if they have a director of football. But on the topic of bringing players in, where do you think are the biggest holes to fill are in the squad?
Is that for me or Ali?
To both of you. We'll start with Allie.
Yeah.
Biggest holes. I think our back line is non-existent. To be honest, it's been a problem for a while. Our back line. So I definitely think we need to strengthen defensively. We've not been right, to be honest. And you're going to think that Tim Tiggs, I'm going to mention the JT word, in the fact that we've not been right since old Tompkins went to Palace. So I think we need to shore that up and all. But then we've got some cracking players. Maybe we're just not playing them in the right positions.
You know what? I actually felt like the last 4 games before the postponement of fixtures, I felt like the defense was making relatively decent progress, because Ogbonna and Diop were starting to form a good partnership. Because we saw at the start of the season, Pellegrini was doing all sorts of madness, dropping Ogbonna, then putting in Barbreva, and then you know that song, you do the hokey pokey and you turn around. That's what we're doing. This is pure madness. So I thought like they're making a good progress, and for me, I've been so happy to see Jeremy Gecko get his chance, because I cover quite a few under 23 games and he's always looked good. Well, him and Ben Johnson, in fact, and I feel like Ben Johnson was ahead of him, but he suffered so many injuries this season, so that's why Ngeke got his chance. But I feel like the biggest issue in defense is left back. Aaron Cresswell's been a great player for the club, but 30 now, he's not the player he was when he was playing for England. Don't get me started now for Masuaku, because we could be here. So I feel like we definitely need to strengthen left back. There's a few good players coming through in the academy, but I feel like we need a tried and tested player in that position, preferably 26 and under. So yeah, I feel like that should be the main priority this summer.
Allie, there's another player that has been rumored Moyes is fine with selling. Felipe Anderson, a record signing as of 2 years ago, had a very good first season for us, albeit a streaky one, but overall put a good season together. And his sophomore campaign has just proven to be a flop. He's regressed significantly. I I think he's scored once this year, if I'm not mistaken, with a few assists. He's been a shell of himself. He's lost his starting spot a couple matches. I mean, what do you think about selling him? Would you give him another chance to make a name for himself in the squad? What do you think?
I would get rid. To be honest, like you said, he had a great first season. He's had less than stellar second season, and it started to see that his passion's not in it. And I don't know if it's the club, if it's the league, or if it's just he's just not adapting well to his nose got put out of joint when we had how I don't know, but to be honest, yeah, I'd get rid.
I mean, earlier I mentioned my career mode on FIFA, and funny enough, Felipe Anderson was the first player I sold. I mean, me personally, I feel like I agree with Allie. He definitely regressed this season. I mean, when I watch him in the press box, I'm like, I look at him, I'm thinking like, how much do you want it? Like, how much do you want to like cement that place in the team? Because I think I'm right in saying he had a spell on the sidelines, and he came back, and I mean, I remember the game away at Anfield. And I thought he was very quiet. I feel like when Moyes took him off, it did change the game a little bit. But in that match, he was fairly quiet. And it doesn't even just apply to Anderson. Andrei Yarmolenko, Lanzini's regressed so much. So there's players in around that number 10 winger position who you look at thinking the club needs to just get some money from them in the summer because they're on a decline and there's no point keeping them on big contracts if they're not going to like be to the benefit of the team.
Well, how much do you think we could get for him? I mean, certainly nowhere near the 39, 40, 41 mil that we paid for him.
Yeah, I know. Probably I reckon, if we're being realistic, maybe 20 to the 26 mark. I reckon you can get for him. And I mean, if you can get like 27, 26, I mean, obviously probably like a 30 million loss, but why not? Why not? As I said, there's no point in having him in if he's just not gonna work hard for the team. I mean, I don't know the numbers off my head, but I'd imagine it's not the sort of numbers he had last season. So if someone's regressing and not showing any signs of like progress, in my opinion, it doesn't make sense of keeping him a team because someone else can get that position and do even better.
Yeah. I don't have the stats in front of me either, but I'm pretty sure it was nine league goals last year and 4 assists. And this season, he has 1 league goal and 3 assists, I believe. So it's a dramatic downfall. And I do agree with both of you. Even, and I'm like a competitive guy. When I was an athlete, I left it all out on the court because I played basketball, and very emotional. And I don't expect all players to be like that, but last year when he had a pretty good season, I don't know. He seemed not that passionate on the pitch. If you guys are understanding what he just and again, I gave him the benefit of the doubt because some players are just not like that. That's not their personality. But I think it has turned into more of a how much does he want it? Like you mentioned, Roshane. Where's the passion? I don't see it. And then when you see a guy like Bowen come into the team, he's seemed to have made an instant impact. Obviously, scoring on his debut, running all over the place, tackling all over the place. Something that you're just not seeing from Felipe on a consistent basis.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, for me personally, I'm not sure about you guys. I can't think of like 5 standout moments since Anderson's been at the club. I can't think of any moment in my head right now that stands out when I think of Felipe Anderson. I can think of like when he's moaning when he comes off the pitch. Oh, what game was it? It was a Chelsea game. I think it was the 1-0 win over Chelsea last late November or December, I think it was. And he was upset when he came off. He was upset when he came off. And you're thinking like, mate, what did you do? What did you do to warrant being upset? And yeah, it's all true as you mentioned as well. I mean, where's the fight? Where's the passion? We've seen Bowen come in. He's been here for 5 minutes, and his work rate's been more than what Felipe Anderson's done for quite some time now. And there's also another player I'm giving special mention to, Snodgrass.
Yeah,
he lost his place with Bowen being in the team, and I feel like prior to Bowen's arrival, Snodgrass was like perhaps a front runner for Hammer of the Year. Like, if you remember at the start of the season, he wasn't even in the squad. He wasn't even in the squad much as starting 11. And then Pellegrini was playing him as a centre midfielder, just doing all sorts of foolishness. And then obviously he's playing out wide, and we've seen his delivery. You know, these sort of stuff we want to see a bit from Felipe Anderson, and he's not doing that. So, yeah, I feel like the club should cut their losses this summer. But it doesn't just apply to Anderson as well, so other players in that bracket too.
Allie, any other players that you would sell, or any other positions that you think we need to strengthen? What about striker? You mentioned Marco. What are you thinking there?
I can't believe you've missed like the key question that every West Ham fan is asking when it comes to players, which is when are we bringing Jordan Hugel back?
That is the key question, right?
Everybody wants to know, when is he going to get his chance to walk out to Bubbles that he was so desperate to do last January?
Well, when Moyes being in charge, he's not getting a chance. That's for sure. That's for sure.
So, guys, I think we're going to wrap it up. But one last question before we wrap it up, and this is to both of you. Allie, we'll start off with you. If the season ended, null and void, no mas, who is our hammer of the year?
Snodgrass. Absolutely, the work rate that guy's got, and also the passion. Like that's I think key for a West Ham fan is you want to see the player that is dedicated on that pitch. We know we're not going to win anything anytime soon. We don't get into West Ham fans for the winning. You want someone that's dedicated to your team, and outside of Noble, that guy's the one that's got the absolute passion to be a hammer. So absolutely, Robert Snodgrass.
Yeah. I'm gonna let out a spoiler alert, because for the Athletic we have to submit our like young player of the year and player of the year. And for young player of the year, I went for Declan Rice, because I mean that's the obvious choice. And for player of the year, I was gonna say Snodgrass, but I changed my mind. I've gone for Bonner. Like at the start of the season, I was thinking this guy is just terrible. Like, what are you doing? The mistakes he was making. I'm thinking like just drop this guy. He's terrible. But I mean, he's improved so much this season. I mean, he's one of the first names on the team sheets, in fact. And I'm just looking at the comments. AJ Palmer, she's up. Is that he or she? Oh, sorry, it's a he. Is it? It's a he. AJ Palmer agrees with me. So yeah, Ogbonna is for Hammer of the Year, and I feel like it'll be well deserved.
Yeah, I think Snodgrass and Ogbonna are certainly probably the top two candidates, right? I really don't think they're in a very disappointing year. I don't really see any other standout performers. When I asked this question, I was sort of on the fence. I'm still going to go with my gut, and I'm going to say Ogbonna as well. I used to despise Ogbonna. As a player, of course. He's a nice guy, but would absolutely despise seeing his name on the team sheet in the starting 11. But starting last season, even towards the end of last season, when I believe it was Balbuena that got hurt, he started sort of coming into his own a little bit and had a good end to the season. And I think that momentum has carried into this season. Yeah. He really hasn't put you can't really think of any times where there's been a major glaring mistake. Maybe one time versus which game was that?
The Brighton game, the 3-3
draw. Yeah. But honestly, I'd blame both Diop and Ogbonna for that. Probably Diop more, but anyways, that was a bad goal to give up. But besides that, there really hasn't been one moment where you say, man, like that was just awful, Angelo. He's one of the more sure-footed defenders that we have. He's in the starting 11 every week. And again, winning Hammer of the Year this season, it's an accomplishment, but to be honest, there aren't that many stand-up performers to compete with. But I will have to give it to Angelo. I will.
You know what? When you think about like leaders, because we don't really have many, barring like Doris being Mark Noble, but I can think of like two others being Declan Rice and Ogbonna. When I'm watching Ogbonna, I'm observing him, seeing like in constant communication with Diop. When it's like a corner kick, he's telling who should drop back, who should move forward. These are small stuff, but it goes a long way to a team getting a win. And I feel like the fact that we have not many leaders and we have someone like Bonner and Rice that really thrived that leadership role. So yeah, I'm gonna give a clap to Bonner. He's really impressed me lately.
Yeah, I think he would win it if the season ended. And one question that I just thought of, Roshane, if the season were to continue on, and there were going to be no fans, would you be able to go into the stadium?
Yeah, we'll still be able to cover the match, but I mean, it's
Oh,
going to be
nice.
the same without fans. I mean, not hearing forever blowing bubbles like at home games or like the fans in the away. I feel like West Ham fans are they're terrific in away games. I mean, my favorite game this season has to be the Chelsea match, the 1-0 win when David Martin made his debut. I mean, whenever David Martin made a save, West Ham fans are going crazy. Like, it was hilarious.
Yeah, because
So,
that was right after Roberto, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
After who?
Yeah.
I've never heard that. I've never heard that name before. I haven't got a clue.
He who must not be named, right?
Yeah, never heard that name before. But yeah, I mean, so it'll be a big thing to miss out on fans. So it seemed like perhaps the only solution right now. But hopefully you can see some sort of change. I guess.
Yeah, I hope so. Allie, any closing thoughts before we wrap this up?
Just that I hope that the season does actually find a way to continue, hopefully with the fans, just so that West Ham can prove themselves to pull themselves back up the table and we don't stay up in the Premier League by a technicality.
Roshane, any closing thoughts?
Closing thoughts. I mean, should the Premier League season resume, I remain confident that West Ham will stay up. I mean, we have a talented squad. I like to see Moyes playing like a 4-4-2 formation with Allie and Tony up top, just to close out the season, and then you can bring the right personnel in to have a different formation for next season. But yeah, finish the season on a high. I know we have some tough games coming up, but yeah, just end the season on a high and give fans something to be excited about and be optimistic for next season.
I echo both your points. I hope we see any sport really sooner rather than later, whether it be behind closed doors. Obviously, not the ideal way to go about it, but if that's the way it has to be in the short term, then that's the way it has to be. I hope the season plays out though, and echoing Allie's point, I hope that we stay up because we deserve it, not off of a technicality.
And also, special mention for everyone who commented on this live broadcast as well.
Absolutely, we love those commenters. I see Tebow, AJ, Neil, a bunch of others that are regular commenters. Well, Allie, Roshane, we'll wrap it up. I wanted to thank you both for joining me this afternoon, or I guess this evening for you both. And yeah, definitely we'll keep in touch and hopefully actually talk about an actual match that occurs sooner rather than later.
Yeah, sure thing. No point. Thanks for having me on, and nice to meet you as well again, Allie.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you later.
Bye, guys.